Armageddon. I'm not a big lore guy, but what Games Workshop has done to Armageddon is just tragic. We said this the other day. The people that work at Games Workshop now, Games Workshop might be the same name, but it's kind of like we've seen with like Bungie and with like Blizzard and with other companies. The people that work at Games Workshop now are not the same people that made the company what it is. And it's very obvious it's very obvious that the people making these decisions are people who just don't really fucking get it. They just don't really fucking get it. You know, and all it really does is I don't really you see companies making this mistake again and again and again because it's one of those things that if someone says it, it sounds logical, but doesn't actually make sense. Doesn't actually work. It's like theory versus reality.
Yes,
it's theory versus reality. So, a great example of this is there's so many examples going through my head. But a great example of this is Star Wars. So, if you're a company like Disney and you've just bought Star Wars, it makes, you get a bunch of people who are inexperienced with the franchise in a room and they all start cooking up ideas, and all of these ideas sound really good to them because but they're inexperienced with the thing that they're handling. So it's like, well, we don't want to just bring out all the old characters. We want to be new and fresh and exciting. We want to be, all these buzzwords start coming out like synergy and dynamic and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, logically, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense because Disney has bought the property and logically they'd want to do something new with it and everything. But the reality is that is a big giant bag of shit. And the reality is that all you do by like completely tearing up the foundations, completely rewriting things, you're not actually making it fresh, new, and interesting. You're actually just making it so no one is going to be interested in it. Because, and this isn't a woke thing. I want to make this clear. This isn't a woke thing. This actually isn't an updated for the mythical modern audience. I know a lot of that happened as well. Okay? A lot of that happened as well. But the reality of the situation is that if you take a property and then completely take it in a different direction, all you do is piss off all of the old grognards, all the people that originally supported it. So you lose that audience and you're banking on getting a new audience. But the new audience doesn't exist yet. You're having to get a new audience. And it's like, you don't create something that's new and fresh and interesting. You create something that has got no weight to it. There's no pedigree to it. There's no history to it. You're taking something which is a known quantity, which has got a certain amount of respect associated with it, and then now you're starting from scratch. A great example, a good example. It's like starting over. What actually happens is you just starting over, and you've got to think like, how hard is it to actually start something from scratch? Because you don't think you're starting it from scratch, but you are. You don't think you're starting from scratch, but you are. So it might look like Star Wars, but actually, very quickly, everyone works out it's not really Star Wars. And so now you've got to build up everything that you've got to build up Star Wars from the beginning. You've basically factory reset the whole thing, and now you've got to build it up from the beginning again. You've got to cultivate the audience again. And the only way that's going to happen is if it's very, 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 very good. Like the original Star Wars was very good. Now, if you go back and watch Star Wars Episode 4, it's actually very rough around the edges. It's not until Empire that Star Wars actually gets very good. The first one, but the thing is, back in the day, there wasn't a lot of other stuff out there like it. So it kind of, even though it was rough, it was, people were like, we can see the potential in it. When you take an existing franchise and try and reimagine it, try and redo it, as it were, people expect a certain level of quality, and they're a lot less forgiving. It sounds crazy, but I bet if you went back and watched A New Hope, and then if you took someone who hadn't grown up with the original Star Wars, if you took someone like you finally defrosted one of the pod people that the government's been the pod people the government's been fucking keeping underground for ages, who haven't got any experience of the current culture, and you go, look, watch these two things. I bet a lot of them would go, oh, I really like the Force Awakens. It like the effects were so much better. Like that looked like that kind of looked like a bag of shit. I didn't really know what was going on in that one, but yeah, I really like that Force Awakens one. But the thing is that there are no pod people that are getting unfrozen. They're all staying frozen for the time being. And so the problem is that what you're going to have is you're trying to build something up from the ground up, and everyone's got expectations of that from the thing that everyone is expecting an improvement on what came before. And then if it's not an improvement on what came before, it's a giant bag. People start getting disappointed. And if you start changing it significantly from what came before, then all the people that originally supported it start leaving. And the problem is that that's kind of where we're at. Bringing this back to 40k, that's kind of where we're at with 40k. Okay. I don't think Games Workshop is shitting the bed quite as hard as Disney did, because Disney really shit the bed. Okay? Like, Force Awakens was solid, but The Last Jedi basically killed Star Wars. Rogue One, I think a good example of, look at Rogue One, look at Cassian Andor, look at the Andor spin-off, and then compare that to the Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, the Solo movie. Andor and Rogue One did very, 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 very well. And the reason that they did very, 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 very well is because they felt like Star Wars. Okay? They felt like Star Wars. Here's the thing. Why did everyone accept is it Jyn Erso? Why did people accept Jyn Erso and they didn't accept Rey? Because it would be very possible to look at Rogue One and to look at the sequel trilogy and go, they've both got female leads, it's woke, you could do that, all right? I'm doing a silly voice for comedic effect, but there probably is actually some merit to that. Don't think I'm saying anything too serious. I'm just being a bit goofy. But like, the reason why Rogue One did well, and the reason why an Andor did well, and the reason why the sequel trilogy did badly is because Andor and Rogue One felt like Star Wars, and the sequel trilogy felt like a Marvel movie. And that's, if you go back and watch, that's the big difference. And obviously then there's quality, the quality of the writing, and the quality of the characters. Of course. Of course, that's all. There are many, many factors. There are many, many factors that go into a successful movie beyond just does it pass the vibe check. All right. As Lutz has said, it's because in Rogue One she was competent and felt human, but Rey felt kind of like a bumbling buffoon who was just overpowered because the script required it. People can detect that bullshit very easily. Yes, exactly. There's Lutz, you're absolutely right. There's all good to have you in the stream, by the way. You're absolutely right there as well. But it's I'm saying, but I'm just trying not to. I'm sticking on one topic for the time being, but I'm acknowledging, yes, 100%. That those were other factors as well. It's crazy though when you think about it. Rogue One didn't have any Jedi's in it. It had no Jedi's in it. I mean, we had a cameo from Darth Vader, and we had the dude that believed in the Force but wasn't a Jedi. But Rogue One, a film with no Jedis really in it, felt like more of a Star Wars film than The Last Jedi and stuff like that. Again, same. I know I haven't seen Andor. So I'm not. So no spoilers, please. But I think it's so interesting how Andor has become so. I don't think anyone expected Andor to be as good as it was. But then we start getting into the whole side. But it's so interesting how you can draw parallels between Disney and Games Workshop. Because do you know what I was about to say? It's the reason why Andor did well and the reason why Rogue One did well is because I think no one expected them to be very big. They were kind of, as much as you get this in Hollywood, there's still millions of pounds being thrown, millions and millions of dollars getting thrown around, of course. But it's probably explains why like Rebels did very well, why Clone Wars did very well, is these were, in the grand scheme of things, seen as small side projects. And so these small side projects were they weren't given to the favorites of the company. It turned out that they were given to, they were given to people that gave a shit about Star Wars, but didn't really give a shit about Disney. To people that actually cared. Whereas the people that, sucked the right cocks, stuck their nose at the right assholes, they were the ones that were given the big projects, and they weren't actually very good. If you see some of the directors behind some of these big films, like Ahsoka, for example, which is obviously a series, but that wasn't particularly well received. Like Thrawn carried. Basically, if you want to watch Ahsoka, just go on YouTube and type in Ahsoka, all Thrawn's best bits, and that's the only bits you need to watch. The rest of it's a bit shit. But yeah, the point is that but the thing is, you can draw exact parallels from with GW. It's crazy how you can draw parallels with GW, because Mad Larkins just hit the nail on the head there. You look at 40K right now. You look at Age of Sigmar right now. You look at the games that Main Studio is producing right now, and these games go further and further and further away from, and not necessarily in a bad way. I accept that Age of Sigmar 4.0 is very popular at the moment. People who play it love it. And I always heap praise on 40K, the game, the base game, because it's, it's balanced. There's a lot of effort that's being put into like balancing the game, and GW's in touch with the community, okay? But fundamentally, the game of 40K is unrecognizable now from the original, not the original like Road Trader, but I mean like 2nd through to 8th edition. It's unrecognizable. Second through to 7th and a bit of 8th edition. Yeah. So it's interesting, like, and all the people that work in Main Studio, and you can see this when they do the live streams. By the way, if you ever watch the GW live streams, you can see this clear as day. When they interview someone from Main Studio, it's always someone who is, for lack of a better term, quite normal but quite corporate. So, oh, well, what do you think about the new? I'm gonna pull some stuff out my ass. Okay, don't necessarily listen to the details of what I'm saying, but just go with the vibe of what I'm throwing down. So it's like, it's a GW reveal stream, and the host goes, "So, what do you think about the new Space Wolves?" Well, we've completely reimagined the Space Wolves. They are coming in with new Primara sculpts. You can see how fantastic those bolters look. And they're also armed with fearsome power swords. They're posed in an incredibly dynamic way, really showing off the ferocity of Fenris. And it's quite polished. And it's like a market. It's marketing. It's presented in a very marketing approved way. And then you go on and then they have to interview someone from SDS talking about like Necromunda and the new like fucked up gene stealers in Necromunda. And they're like trying to get the guy to like hype up the models, and the guy's just there trying to explain to you why like Hive Secundus on Necromunda, well, it's a dead bit, and so we really were like thinking about this and getting into the lore, and the guy's going like what inspired him to like come up with like the fucked up gene stealers. Do you know what I mean? He's going all in on the lore and the made up shit. He's not talking about like, and then eventually the host will go, "Oh, that's fascinating, and look at how dynamic those models look." And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, the models look great." Yeah, the meth stealers, exactly. But you see, that's the difference. So this is why we have. This is why when you have games like 40k. Godlike Poet, I remember that exact stream. It was amazing. Yeah, it was so cool. Like, I actually was like, I wish the host, I was like, I could listen to the Orthis dude. I could listen to him go on and on and on about the lore behind the meth stealers. Do you know what I mean? If that guy did like if GW was smart, they'd put that guy like in front of a camera with just someone occasionally like prompting him to ask a couple of questions, but basically put him in front of a camera and just let him talk about what makes him let him talk about his ideas that he's working on right now, and just let him talk for like an hour, and then just don't even edit it, don't fuck with it, just warts and all, just put that on the fucking internet, and I guarantee you that would be one of their most viewed fucking things they'd ever have. And if they did that with a lot of stuff, it'd be like full, let's talk to the design team, but we're actually talking to the design team, not the marketing person who pretends to be from the design team. Yeah, that would be so cool. So but going back to what we're saying, this is why when I go over to something like Horus Heresy, when I start playing games like Horus Heresy, I'm like fully erect. Because I know it'll never happen, Lutz. I know. And it's crazy because it's funny that it never happens. But GW is literally sitting on a gold mine and they don't even realize it. But I mean, what is one of the most successful forms of content on the internet right now? Arguably, it's so successful that mainstream media is talking about this type of content as being election deciding for the most powerful country in the world. Okay, we're not talking politics now, by the way. We're talking about content. All right, so let's make that clear. It's all about, it turns out that what people want is podcasts. They want people to talk about shit that they are excited about. People are sick and fucking tired of corpo bullshit speak. And so what's interesting is GW is sat on a fucking gold mine of autistic podcasting. They're absolutely sat on a gold mine of it. And they could have, if SDS wanted to just like blow up and just get like an incredible, like successful YouTube channel going, they would just start fucking like podcasting with all of the crazy team members that they've got. And it doesn't like and be like, guys, don't think you're on camera. Just talk. They might not even just fucking talk. Okay. Just talk about shit. And these guys would produce hours of content every week. And it would be probably some of the most popular tabletop content in the world. And you can see other. You think, but the thing is, you can see Warhammer content creators who are jumping on this already. Look at Tabletop Tactics. Tabletop Tactics produce a podcast episode every single week now. They do more podcasting content than they do Age of Sigmar content. That's what it is. That's what it is, boys. That's what it is. So my point is, you can see we were talking about like main like Disney products, and then like the side ones, and the side ones end up doing better somehow. It's the same with like Games Workshop, not necessarily doing better, because obviously 40k is massive and it's very, very successful. But why have products like Old World, for example, been very popular? Why have entire channels popped up that can sustain themselves off just Old World content popped up? It's because the people that made the base product were kind of Old World was written by one guy, JTY, and it was literally, it was a side project that they weren't going to put any money into, and he just, one man wrote it for 4 or 5 years, and that's why it passes the vibe check. And you're going to see, I think, the same thing happen with Heresy 3.0. Yeah, that's why Heresy has got such a loyal following, and I hope that it can break out into the mainstream. And it's why earlier this last week I was wanking off a game called Conflict 47, because I said the people that are in Conflict 47 are going to be nerds that I'm writing it, and that's it's going to pass the vibe check. Yeah. So all of this whole conversation was prompted by how do I feel about Armageddon campaign and the Steel Legion getting like a back seat to it? Well, it makes sense that the Steel Legion are having a back seat, because the people writing the Armageddon campaign don't give a shit about the Steel Legion, because the people that are writing it, the people that are working on it, weren't involved in Warhammer when Steel Legion was a thing. Steel Legion, as a full standalone force, have been discontinued for probably 10 years at this point. Maybe not quite that long, but for a long time. And I'm not talking since the last model went off the store. We're talking since, realistically, you could make an entire army out of their models. For 5-10 years, Steel Legion haven't been a thing at Games Workshop. So, of course, the new staff that are working in main studio, who are writing this Armageddon book, they're not going to understand the weight and the importance of why Armageddon should be Steel Legion focused. There we go. That's why they didn't understand why killing off Commissar Yarrick was a big deal, and why, despite the fact that we've had Lord Sol Leontus for nearly 3 years now, why, if they brought Commissar Yarrick back tomorrow, he would probably outsell Lord Sol Leontus with 3 years of sales behind him. And that's a bold claim, but it's, everyone would get a Commissar Yarrick. Yeah. Loots. Tim, I'm going to make a big rant video about Yarrick. Lol. I decided, Loots, do it. Come on. Lulian, do it. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.